Hey, welcome back, guys. It's Steve Areno, Cool Kits, Tamiya P-38G 148 scale, part 4. Take 1. Boom. All right, back. Well, we're building the P-38G, having a great time, just moving along. And but it occurred to me, I should mention a couple things that I sort of just took for granted. But maybe keep toss, do whatever you want. But something you want maybe think about if you're building this kit. When it comes to the paint colors that they're prescribing, some of these paint colors are U.S. Air Force colors. They're meant to replicate U.S. Air Force colors. And they give you this. One of the things that's always great about Tamiya kits is they give you this really great, like all models do, outline of paints. But they're very specific, and the AS means, I guess, it means aerosol spray. And while we can all, have our opinions about aerosols and should we or shouldn't we, et cetera, et cetera, I don't spray aerosols from the cans. Because I've got some really great airbrushes, and you have a lot more control, and you can get a lot of effects. It takes a lot more work to work with airbrush, but I think the results, for me, are equal to way way more equal than the small amount of effort that it takes to get them. The return on investment, they call, is really there. So there's a couple steps that are going to be required. So taking an example, like you got a couple colors here, and they're used on the model, and one of them is what? One of them is the bare metal, and the other one is one of the top cover colors, the olive drab. U.S. Air Force on this one. So step one is you have to what's called decant this. What, Steve? Yeah, decant, using wine connoisseur language, I guess. So you have to get the color out of the cans. And, of course, you'll want to put it into something that won't stick to and something you could seal. And you probably wouldn't want to use a lot. But I use little glass paint jars, for that. So I decant, get it out of the can. And have a spray mask on, and in your spray booth when you do that, and then from that you can then get into mixing it for your airbrush with thinners, so that it'll actually pass through the nozzle correctly, and then you'll be able to go to work like you would from normal paints that you use when you paint your model. So I just want to make sure I mention that because I didn't want to. I sort of assumed, but hey, you know what they say about assume, right? So now back to what we're doing. I really enjoy building my models, but I'm doing a lot of other things too, in my retirement. Yeah, I guess you call it retirement. I'm busier now than when I worked. I coach track and field. And I'm also a assistant scoutmaster, and we got meetings, and we're also getting ready to go to summer camp, and getting the trailer ready, and getting everybody ready to go to summer camp, and there's a lot going on, and
How about that, huh, Lim? Surprise?
You guys don't mean to tell me you built this all by yourself?
Yeah. Including scratching the lumber. We didn't even use nails in some places. We tied knots.
Well, fellas, I don't know what to say except that, it's just absolutely amazing.
it's all great. And so, man, I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life because I'm busier, and I think I'm. But now the difference is I'm doing stuff that I like, really, really like. Whether it's going to track meet, going to track practice, going to scout meetings, going to camp. Doing my reading, which is on like 5 or 6 areas that I read on: molecular biology and biomechanics and statics and dynamics and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I also have a spiritual orientation that I follow. So anyway, there's that, and so but today what we're doing on the model is we are we've put together the lower. Let me show you. We've got this all together, and we went back and painted, in here with the silver like we wanted. Okay, so that's all together the way we wanted it, and then whoever, the folks at Tamiya, they did a fantastic job on this kit. I keep saying that over and over. There's a match line in here where a part line. It's the only place so far on the model where I've had to do any kind of sanding, right in there, because this panel right here was one panel, okay, but they had to pick a place for the part line, and so hey, no harm, no foul. It's right there, but you got to sand it down because you wouldn't want that line to be there on the model. And I'm going to use those HGW rivets, and the rivets run vertically on this panel. So it's hard to see on the box art. I'll show you the box art. So right here, where the part line on the model is, there's no part line on the actual aircraft. This panel went from here, around that fairing, and then over, and then back down like that. Okay. So you don't want to have a part line in there because there wasn't one on the plane. At least, again, little things like that I take out of my model. I mean, I remember once I built this 177. This is one of my favorite airplanes. I built this 172nd Hinkle 219, and you guys know that kit, the Revell kit. Great airplane, horrible kit. The part line was all the way down, horizontally down the fuselage, and man, that thing fought me like a bear cat. And then it only looked halfway decent, and man, that thing stayed in my model collection for a long time until Tamiya, hey, good old Tamiya, they came out with the 148 scale, which is a scale I like anyway, but just because I couldn't get the Hinkle in the 148, I built that 172nd. But then Tamiya came to the rescue with a fantastic Hinkle 219 148 scale kit, which had the part line, what I call the correct direction, down the fuselage long axis, not horizontal axis. Okay, and so I was able to build that kit and throw that 72nd thing in the trash can with pleasure, because that thing, sat there on my model shelf. I hated it. Every time I looked at it, I thought, I got to get rid of that someday. And so, I mean, you guys who build models, you know what I'm talking about, because you have models like that you look at and say, I got to get rid of that thing someday when I get something better. So, what we're doing, we got this together, and then the nose cone piece for the G version I'm building uses that different infill panel right here, right over here, right here, right there, right. So we got that together, and then this, of course, comes up, and we got to build the guns, and that goes in there like, man, isn't that just, look at that fit, just fantastic, just fantastic. Wow, like we always dreamed of in a model kit. It's gonna look fantastic. Okay, and then for the guns over here, they are talking about painting it and then going over the top with some decals, and I'm like,
Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
this is going to be tricky because they want to. Of course, I can get it because they didn't. If you look at the piece, they didn't mold this piece with anything to replicate those cooling jacket holes. So they're smooth, and what's going to give you and you couldn't drill those things now and have, you'd kill them if you tried to drill them. So what they're going to give you is a set of decals that go over once you painted it, and then that's going to replicate the cooling jacket holes for these guns. And that's going to be kind of, I have to say, that's going to be almost kind of an experiment in how good is Steve Areno's modeling to pull that off. But hey, I'm going to give it a try because, you know, I got faith in Tamiya. These guys know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And we're starting to warm up to thinking about the pilot figure because, as I mentioned, I always put my pilot figures in and paint them up. Getting him looking like we want. Gonna go look at some, you know, reference video stuff like what would a U.S. Army Air Corps pilot in the early part of World War II down in the South Pacific have looked like. So we're going to go find that out before we start diving in and just starting painting, slinging paint around. So we'll get that looked at. And so I think we'll be spending we'll sort of shift gears, we'll sort of downshift into a lower gear and sort of go into creeper crawler mode here to get this stuff dialed in the way we want. All right, bye for now.